Hey guys, November 16th is when the upcoming update for Lost Ark is happening, and there's a lot of things that are going to be dropping on that date. Reaper being the big thing, but also the balance patch that we've been talking about for such a long time. And I wanted to take this video to just recap everything that we should be prepared for and just have a review for all the things that I think are really important for Arcana players out there as we're moving into the November 16th patch to pay attention to. So hopefully through watching this video, you'll get a good summary of all the things that are changing that's relevant to Arcana and the major things that you should be looking out for, just so that you receive the biggest convenience after the patch change hits. So let's jump right into it. I have a notepad up here so you guys can follow along as I'm going through. But let's just start from the top. 5x3 engravings. Now, this is a bigger conversation amongst how you guys are buying your relic accessories or how you're going to be changing up your builds, what you're going to invest into and what you're not. So I want to dive into this topic first by saying which things are staying relatively the same. And for us, it's going to be Grudge, Hitmaster, and Cursed All. These are all going to be at 3. This is going to be the same for the example engraving sets that I'm going to give you guys. There are some engravings that will be choices for us. So for example, Barricade, Raid Captain, Empress 3, or Adrenaline 2 and Empress 1. These are all choices that you guys can make, and depending on your engraving set, you might have a few different combinations of these things. For example engraving set 1, we have Grudge, Hitmaster, Cursed All, and then there's Raid Captain Empress 3. Okay, this is a good build that can work. The second example, we use Raid Captain, same as the previous build. Everything is the same up until Raid Captain, but we're choosing to use Adren 2 and Empress 1. In the third example, instead of Raid Captain, we're using Barricade 3, but over here we're using Empress 3. And then in the fourth example, we use Barricade, but instead of Empress 3, we're doing Adren 2, Empress 1, okay? So that's what all of these combinations look like. Now, here's some special notes to think about for what the difference between some of these choices are, okay? The first thing that I want to say is that what we're talking about here is small adjustments and min-maxing for damage. In actuality, all these engraving sets will do good damage, definitely good enough for all the content that we have coming up for us. So if you're strapped for cash, if you don't have a ton of fions, if you don't really want to spend the gold to change builds, don't worry, you're not falling super far behind. It's just a slightly different build in some cases and maybe a little less output, and in some cases, maybe a little bit more, okay? So I wouldn't stress too much if you're strapped for cash and you already have invested in one of these engraving sets. It's not going to hurt you a ton. The second thing is about Adrenaline. Why should we choose Adrenaline 2 versus choosing Empress 3? Well, it's pretty simple. Adrenaline is more necessary for you if you're running Serendipity. Namely because, 1, Serendipity doesn't have a crit tripod on it. It doesn't have additional crit chance. Not in the same way that Secret Garden or Celestial Rain does. And then when the update hits, 4 of a Kind will also have baseline crit installed into their tripods. If we're running Adrenaline, that's to boost up the effectiveness of Serendipity. If we're not using Serendipity, Adrenaline is still pretty good, but it's not nearly as necessary, which is why when we're doing the new builds that replaces Serendipity with 4 of a Kind, now we have 3 Ruin skills with at least 40% increased crit chance on them just from the tripod alone. We can opt to give away Adrenaline for more damage bonus from pushing Empress up to level 3 instead of level 1. That's why you would choose Empress 3 over Adrenaline 2, Empress 1. That being said, though, the additional crit is generally very useful. The only time it starts to fall off in effectiveness is if you start overcapping your crit due to crit synergies in your party or additional things like that, okay? The other thing to note is if you're using Barricade, obviously, you have to use a protection rune on your rune skills, okay? So that's something to pay attention to. You don't have the option to go to wealth runes if you're using Barricade because you're not going to be able to benefit from the Barricade engraving if you do that. Let's talk about the new skills that will be introduced into your toolkit. The biggest one obviously being 4 of a Kind. This will be a skill for your standard 3 rune skill builds. This will replace Serendipity And in 4 rune skill builds, it's going to replace Call of Destiny. That's a little bit niche. What I want to cover with 4 of a kind is that there will be a few tripods that you want to focus on when you're using 4 of a kind in place of Serendipity in a 3 rune skill build. And so if we look at the combat skills window, the few tripods that we're focused on is going to be Swift Preparation up here, Card Enhancement, and Delayed Shock. This is what it's going to be, okay? Swift Preparation, Card Enhancement, and Delayed Shock are the 3 tripods that we want to focus on for our standard 3 rune skill build. And then, if you're interested in a 4th rune skill build, you can consider the Deception tripod as well, okay? That's for 4 of a kind. There will be a new skill that's going to be added into the game for Arcana called Backflush. Well, I don't actually know if it's going to be called Backflush. I think that's what the Korean translation was. However, a new stacking skill is going to be added into the game for Arcanas. And this skill is an optional replacement for Quadra Accelerate. I personally recommend swapping out Quadra Accelerate for Backflush because it's useful for Raid Captain. It gives us an additional movement speed buff that lingers so that we can take advantage of that movement speed to make sure our Raid Captain is giving us maximum benefit. And I think it's probably going to be more usable. It gives you 3 stacks instantly on the first hit rather than Quadra Accelerate's kind of longer animation where you need to hit the tail end of the animation to make sure you get all of your stacks. So for tripods, this is really big. There's a new tripod system that's being implemented into the game. And we really want to make sure we don't get screwed over by this transition. And in saying that, there's one thing that is super duper duper important. Even if you're too lazy to be inventorying potential future tripods that you're going to be using, please make sure the tripods that you have equipped onto your character are also saved in your inventory. And the reason why this is because the only tripods that will carry over into the update are the tripods that you have in your tripod inventory, okay? Not equipped on your character, not in your character inventory, not in your stash, not in your storage, only in your tripod inventory, okay? If you have any questions, ask in the comments because I really don't want you guys to mess this up, okay? So again, to reiterate, even if you have tripods equipped on the gear that your character is using right now, those tripods will not transfer over in the update. You must have them saved in your inventory. So I recommend you just use one page in your tripod inventory and copy all the exact tripods that you have on your character onto that page. That's the way that you're guaranteed that at least your equipped tripods will carry over into the new update, okay? If you have any questions, again, ask in the comments. Don't lose your tripods. I'm going to change the wording here so that it's more clear. Everything that is in your tripod inventory will automatically be learned for you under the new system of tripods, okay? In your tripod inventory. In your tripod inventory. Not in your character's bags, not in your stash, not in your roster storage, only in your tripod inventory. That's what you get when you talk to the NPC. Okay, so with that out of the way, what are the tripods to watch out for? I would say your current relevant tripods, this is your best opportunity to make sure all of those are maxed. When the update comes, if you were preparing at all, what should end up happening is all the tripods that you're using right now that need to be leveled up should basically be max leveled because you will get them all for free, no RNG, no questions asked in the new update, as long as they were saved into your tripod inventory. I'm going to keep changing the words here to make sure that it's very clear, okay? Make sure the current relevant tripods have their max levels saved to the tripod inventory, okay? Let's talk about the new tripods to pay attention to. Call of Destiny. So this skill will be changing for us. In our standard 3 rune skill build, Call of Destiny's role will be shifting in quite a major fashion for us after the patch hits. There's 2 big reasons for this, okay? We look back over to the game screen right now. I have Call of Destiny pulled up here. And currently, Call of Destiny is our major source of card draw with Quick Draw. We're not going to be using Quick Draw anymore because Quick Draw is getting nerfed. And they're buffing the amount of card meter that's going to be generated when we use ruin skills, okay? So we're not going to be relying on quick draw to draw cards anymore in the new patch. We're going to be relying on building meter. With that said, we're going to be dropping this tripod and we're going to be moving over to Dark Destiny. Dark Destiny gives us a crit damage buff, and as you can see, as you level up Dark Destiny, it's going to increase the amount of crit damage you're given when you use Call of Destiny. So I would very much recommend that at some place in your tripod inventory, you're saving a max level version of Dark Destiny in your tripod inventory so that it can be carried over to the new patch. So when you use a new build, that tripod is ready to go. The second tripod that we want to pay attention to, now, I don't think you necessarily need to level this tripod. I actually don't even know if it can be leveled. This tripod here, Concentration of Destiny, is actually going to be changed. It's going to be changed so that it becomes a stacking skill. It changes Call of Destiny into a stacking skill. And what it's going to do is it's going to give 2 stacks on the target that you hit with Call of Destiny. And that's going to be the tripod that we use in addition to Dark Destiny. So the role of Call of Destiny will change to giving us a crit damage buff and giving us 2 stacks. And that's how we're going to be using Call of Destiny moving forward after the patch. To reiterate, for 4 of a kind, we want to be having a max level version of Swift Preparation. I'm going to go to the game screen here. We want to have a max level of Swift Preparation, a max level of Card Enhancement, and a max level of Delayed Shock saved in our tripod inventories in anticipation of the patch. And then if you're interested in running 4 Ruin skill builds, or as an optional choice, have Deception at max level saved in your tripod inventory as well. This is what I recommend. The last thing that I want to talk about is Infinity Shower. This is a skill that's going to be removed, okay? Backflush is a new skill that's going to be added in for Arcana, and Infinity Shower is going to be deleted from the game. For this reason, any tripods that you have saved for Infinity Shower that is above level 2 will be reimbursed. Now, my understanding is in other versions of the game, you will be given these amulets that can be transformed into whichever tripods you prefer. The specific details about how it's going to be working in the West have not been revealed. My recommendation is to not rely on Infinity Shower tripods to cover the core tripods that you need for your main build, okay? So I do not recommend relying on this to get core tripods. So for 4 of a kind of Call of Destiny, I recommend you have those tripods saved at max level, and then you have Infinity Shower tripods saved on top of that. So just know this moving forward, that you will get some kind of reimbursement that is tripod related for Infinity Shower as it's being deleted from the game, but there's no guarantees, okay? I really recommend you play it safe. Your core tripods and things like Call of Destiny and 4 of a kind, make sure that you save those. Finally, let's talk about 3 Ruin skill builds versus 4 Ruin skill builds. And this is kind of a more fun or interesting topic, but I'd like to just make some brief notes about it. Your 3 Ruin skill build is going to be your go-to, consistent, very high output, very adept, not adapt, very adept, fixing typos on the fly. It's going to be very adept at all the endgame content that you get, okay? I would say that the 3 Ruin skill build is probably your baseline. This is going to be the build that you're running if you just want like core Arcana, very effective gameplay. The 4 Ruin skill build is interesting because I think this capitalizes on your card draw more so than the 3 Ruin skill build, okay? It scales better, perhaps you could say, with better card draw. There are many reasons for this. Long story short, Serendipity is Arcana's biggest payout from a skill. When you draw Cold Judgment, most of your benefit comes from Serendipity, not from Celestial Rain, not from Secret Garden, though these still are very good skills to have those cards be buffing. Serendipity is the one that's the big winner for when these cards are drawn. When you're replacing it for 4 of a kind, 4 of a kind fits into the category that's more similar to Celestial Rain and Secret Garden than it is to Serendipity, okay? That being said, part of the fun of playing Arcana is getting these really good cards and then launching a really big combo from it, and so when we're losing Serendipity, there's some of that fun that's missing. For that reason, even though I will be running 3 Ruin skills for my core build when the patch hits, I'm going to be actively kind of finicking around with and testing the 4 rune skill build on the side just to see what it feels like, see how it plays. Also, because I'm moving forward to the new patch with Raid Captain and I'm keeping Adrenaline 2 and Empress 1 because I'm saving money for Reaper. Because I still have that adrenaline there, it can still be very comfortable and relevant for me to run Serendipity. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. I'm going to still be running my 3 rune skill build for raids and for endgame content, but I want to be actively testing 4 rune skills as we're moving into the new patch. So that should be about everything. Again, there's quite a lot that's being added in November 16th to the game, especially as Arcanas are related. So if you guys have any questions or any comments or thoughts or anything you think would be helpful for other people as they're moving into this new patch, let me know. Leave it down below in the comments section, and I will see you guys in the next